Everybody keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go they use Allah, everybody keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Salam alaikum, alaikum wasalami. Salam alaikum, say na based on we want. But no be Muslim, it's not a Christian. And we there for Bible, make we kill ourselves. Salam alaikum, alaikum wasalami. Salam alaikum, say na based on we want. But no be Christian, it's not a Muslim. And we there for Quran, make we bump ourselves. They come from Shad, they want on with terrorists. Come from Niger, they want on with terrorists. Every day by day, them are bombing our schools, killing our youth. Say we know they happy. No, they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is crazy, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, yo, they keep person. No, they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is crazy, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, yo, they keep person. Prophet Muhammad is the road to Allah. Prophet Muhammad no they kill for Allah. In the preach peace to the unbelievers. Change your ways and turn to Allah. Prophet Muhammad is the road to Allah. Prophet Muhammad no they kill for Allah. In the preach peace to the unbelievers. They can change our ways and turn to Allah. The wages of sin, say my brother not dead. Wages of sin, say my sister not dead. Repent and have eternal life. Make you feel back our guests. Now we know they happy. Know they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Know they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Though they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Though they use Allah, what could they keep people? Allah is great, yo, they keep person. Go around them, they keep people. Allah is great, yo, they keep person.
Okay. Hello, my name is Temitope Olodo, and it's a great honor and privilege to have you live with us, watching us on Twitter, watching us on YouTube, watching us on LinkedIn, and also my people watching us on Facebook. Thank you so much. I'm a preventive terrorism consultant, author, and president of African Security Forum. And today we have a guest in the house. We have other guests coming in, so please do not change the dial right now. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to like this page. I want you to share this page, and I want you to tell friends at home that we are live, and we are talking today about Nigerians kidnapping pandemic. We're going to have more discussion on that. Nigerian kidnapping pandemic. It's a pandemic now. Why is it a pandemic? The English language is very good. It explains it. It said, for something to be pandemic, it means it's spreading. Now, you ask yourself, 2 years ago, where was Nigeria on issues of kidnapping? Was it as bad as this? Now, as we speak, there are children as young as 2-year-old in the hand of captive, and yet the governor, the chief security officer of that state, have jet out to London where there is pandemic. Yeah? And you say that these people really care about the general people, don't get me started. I'm only an anchor here, so I will not say much. Let me ask my guest to introduce himself and tell you about himself, and then we'll dig right down into it because I'm going to be asking him a lot of questions and he's going to be responding. And I have 1 or 2 videos I'm going to be showing you. Please, thank you so much. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me, my brother. My name is Samuel Oludare Yerokun. I'm a minister, a gospel minister, also a community ambassador. I'm based here in Scotland. And apart from community work, professional-wise, I'm a 3D stroke environment designer, which has to do with computer animation. So thank you very much for having me, Mr. Temitope Olodo.
Thank you so much, sir. And I really honor you, sir. I thank you for giving us this privilege. People are watching right now. They are watching right now. So if you're watching us, tell us where you're watching us from. Thank you so much. If you're watching us, let us know where you're watching us from. Thank you, my sister, watching us, all the way from Tanzania. So people are watching us. Kidnapping cuts across all areas. So I just want to thank you much, everyone that is watching us. Please like this page. Tell us where you are watching us from, and I'll give out a shout to you. Now, sir, kidnapping has become a pandemic in Nigeria. But for those that don't have a lot of understanding about Nigeria's challenges with kidnapping, it more or less started. Thank you so much, Mr. Frank is also watching us from Lagos. It started more or less, around the middle belt, Niger Delta area, where they were concentrating on. They have a challenge, with the way in which they were treated by the government, the federal government of Nigeria. It's not a matter of a party issue. It's PDP, APC, UPN, MP, MPN. They were not happy with the way the oil resources was being allocated. And as a result, I'm giving this background so people can understand. And as a result, they started adopting or picking up foreigners who were working on the oil rig. And there was nothing like about killing them. It was not really about that. It was more about collecting the money, and and the wealth was more or less for the people. Of course, we can debate that or whether the money they were collecting was going right into the people's hand. But the bottom line was that there were people that were agitated. That was where the issue of kidnapping started in Nigeria. But it has got to a stage now where people are kidnapping 200 children, 100 school children. In fact, the one that is so funny is that when they kidnapped the Kankara boys, they said that they told the kids that they should go back home and go to Islamic school, so that if they're in Islamic school, they will not kidnap them again. But you can never trust a criminal. A criminal will always be a criminal. So if you're watching us right now, like this page, share this page. The bottom line is that these criminals went back again. So because I'm saying this so that people could know that this is not about religion. It's about individuals that have criminal and are criminal minded. And they went back now to kidnap children from the Islamic school. They went there to not kidnap people from the Islamic. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. So now, let me ask Pastor Samuel, what is your view about the ongoing security challenge that we have in Nigeria, particularly kidnapping? Please speak to your view on it now.
Thank you very much. Just like you've said, what we have at the moment is a pandemic. And it's clearly shown the breakdown of governance. I mean, if people could just be picked up like that, we're not talking about one person or two. We're talking about, having like 100, 200 victims being driven away. And you begin to look at where our security apparatus is. I mean, it clearly shown that anything, I mean, anything could happen in the country. Just like you've noted, I mean, in the past, we've had issues about kidnapping, maybe which is once in a while. Then we have the one in the Niger Delta where expatriates are kidnapped for because of the way that area is being treated, because the people at Niger Delta believe that the country is making money from their community, you know, where we have the oil, but the government is not spending back into that community. They
Okay.
have oil spillages.
Okay. If just hold on for a minute, sir, because there's a noise background. Let me just ask. Let me speak to Professor Aliala. Well, thank you so much for joining us, because I know you have very little time to be with us. So I want to ask you this question, and then I will ask. Oh, it's gone. That's the problem with NEPA in Nigeria. So, speaker, sir. So let me ask you a question, sir. As we speak right now, 100 plus, and we thank Barrister is with us, Barrister Adebola is with us. We thank him so much, you know, he's with us, and I'll be speaking to him in a minute. Sir, in the UK as we speak, if 200 children are adopted from a school in Scotland right now, and it's more than 3 days, I want to ask you a question, a very simple question, sir. Will Westminster, will the Prime Minister in Westminster, will the First Minister in Scotland, will they still be attending engagements? Will they still be involved in one engagement or the other? Will they still be going out and attending all those events that they have slotted already? Or would they be in what we call Cobra here in the UK, in a command and control center where they are following up issues and finding out what is exactly happening? Please just speak to it, and I'll ask Barrister also to speak on it. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I don't know, you were back to me. So what I was saying then was that obviously the Niger Delta, because the oil comes from that community, and because of oil spillages and coal, they have their farmlands and their waters, contaminated, and which obviously was their source of livelihood, and the government doesn't seem to be open to them. But also on the backdrop of that, because we have to balance it, there were other agencies that were also set up to deal with this issue, and we found out that as the little bit of money that the federal government was sending in, I mean, it was disappearing at that point. So they started to kidnap the expatriates, and they were using that to get money. And after a while, I think the government tried to step in to see how they could resolve this. But that is that. But then what we have at the moment, starting from the kidnap of the girls, you remember they bring back our girls some couple of years back. And even when that won't happen, and this is where we have to look beyond party or no party, whether it's APC or PDP or whichever party. You remember then, just like the one we're talking now, there's a kidnap, and the political leadership are busy going to parties. That was the same thing we had then, I think around 2014 or thereabout, when we had those girls taken. You know, we had some political leaders that were there at Abuja dancing and so on, and things has gone worse to where we are today, that kidnapping is now on day-per-day basis. And the worst thing about it is that no part of the country is taken out. It's happening in the southwest, it's happening in the northeast, it's happening in all over the country. It has become something now that people will just wake up and try to look for people that they can kidnap, and then ask their families to bring money. And from what we've seen, the government has not been able to handle this, because some of the reports we've had, It's actually even the police that's helping them to negotiate with those kidnappers. So it's actually very, 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 extremely very bad. It couldn't be more worse than what we have at the moment. Thank you.
Barrister, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Pastor. Let me go to Barrister. Barrister, you see what is happening. I asked a question, but it looks as if Pastor didn't hear me, but he's giving a good background in terms of what is happening in Nigeria right now. I said, if there was a kidnap in Peckham and 200 children were taken from Peckham, with the MP in Peckham, with the Prime Minister, with members of the cabinet still be attending functions right now in the United Kingdom? Will everything still be going as normal in the United Kingdom? Please, because our Africans, and this is not about Nigeria alone, Africans need to understand that if we have leaders that do not value their people, America will go to war just for one American. But it looks as if our life is not is worthless in Africa. Please, we are talking of 2-year-old children in Niger State. I feel like crying. In Niger State, who are in the hands of captives. They are not in the town, sir. They are not in a hut where they are eating. They are sleeping on the street in a snake-infected area. They are in a thick forest that is not habitated by human beings. Anything can tap those children, those little children. What is your view on this, sir?
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, I have to apologize. I've been logged on, but for some reason I forgot to press the join the studio button. I don't know why. So apologies for that, for coming in rather late. I think to answer your question, I would say no, and the no stems from the repercussion. You see, in any society where there is no repercussion for actions,
Yes.
lawlessness sets in. The reason why the Prime Minister in this country or the First Minister in Scotland would dare not do that is because the people will rise with one voice against the Prime Minister. If care is not taken, that might be the end of the Prime Minister or the First Minister. Because the people will rise with one voice to condemn what they will perceive as insensitivity to the plight of the common man. We take that back to Nigeria. I've said on this program before. Now, one of the reasons I think I said what I said on the ground of an analogy that of the saying that people deserve the kind of legal they get, because in Nigeria you have too many staccato of voices. Many people don't. The followers don't seem to be in tune with the reality of what they are in. Some of those who are even in tune with it tend to view the reality with the prism of their ethnicity, which is the bane of Nigeria as a country. And that is why our leaders are behaving the way they are behaving. The day every average Nigerian begins to see Nigeria as one indivisible country and begin to reason and begin to talk in that line, I can bet you no leader will take us for granted anymore.
That's it.
But because everybody begins to see Nigeria as, I'm a Yoruba man now, I begin to see Nigeria as an Oduduwa, whatever it is, and the man will see it as an IPOP kind of thing, the leaders see all of this division between us. And that is why I've said it so many times now. The day we rise up as followers to say all we want is Nigeria, and anybody who is not ready to make Nigeria work, we are ready to run you out of town. Trust me, the day we all begin to talk with that one voice, all the leaders will scamper to the hills. We've had so many of them made public pronouncements that the reason why they are doing what they are doing is because they know that an average Nigerian, the average Nigerian don't speak with one voice, and they always know how to cage them. What they do is just throw some money out of to some segment of the people, and they'll begin to sing a different tune. So these are the issues, and that is why, because like I said earlier on, in the saner clients that people in Nigeria used to talk about, the populace don't take certain nonsense, which we do take in Nigeria. I can cite so many personal examples of my own, from my own family, certain things when I go home and I don't stand for. They begin to look at me as all these UK guys. And I'm like, are you crazy? Somebody is coming here, to trample on your human right, and I'm trying to fight for it, and you're telling me what obtains in UK does not obtain here. Are you telling me the UK people have two heads and you have one? These are the issues. And African Nigerians themselves don't even know their rights. And when you try to tell them this is what you need to do, they begin to give you all this attitude thing. So that is why the leaders begin. Trust me, because whether we like it or not, the leaders are sought from within the people themselves. So they go to that leadership position with the same mindset that every Nigerian has, and when they go there, that mindset multiplies tenfold because of the paraphernalia of office that they enjoy. That boosts their ego, and they begin to see themselves as teen gods. And there's nobody at the bottom to bust their bubble to say, hang on a minute, we'll put you there, and we can as well get you out. So these are the issues, and that is why things are the way they are in Nigeria, because there's no repercussion for any action. If any leader does something wrong today, okay, I'll give you a typical example, which happened this very week. A lot has been happening in the country. Everybody is saying, Mr. President must do this, he must talk, he must blah, 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 blah. He now came up on the within the context of the fact that he fought the civil war for 3 years to keep Nigeria warm. But some people are now who he said he suspects they were not around at the time, so they couldn't have known what they went through. So they are now talking about secession and all that thing, and he said, okay, he will not, because he said he's giving them enough latitude. That was his word. The exact was he has given them enough latitude, but that now he's now ready to deal with them in the language they understand. Everybody started shouting as if the whole world was going to clamp. The same people who said he wasn't talking, he wasn't doing anything, are same people who are now clamp. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not supporting the governor, Buhari here. I'm just stating facts as it appears to me. A day after, another governor from another part of the country was so blasé, because whether we like it or not, at least Buhari was a bit circumspect with his own work. Another governor from another part of the country came out wholeheartedly and said, he was pointing at the people around him. He said, all you these iPod boys, we will blow your brains out and we'll bury you like chickens, and your parents will not see your dead body. Nobody said whimp about it. This is the issue that I'm talking about here. That we, the followers, don't speak with the same voice. I would have expected another uproar for that, the same way there was an uproar for what the president said. If that had happened, trust me, the leaders in the country would begin, to think twice before they open their mouth, or they will think twice before they do certain things in this country. But because we are so disenfranchised by ourselves, it gives them that leverage to begin to see themselves as if they can do whatever they like at any time. So that is to answer your question, that is the reason something like that will happen in Nigeria. And the leaders will have the effrontery to be dancing as Zonto while things like that are happening, because they know at the end of the day nothing will happen. So that's the issue, sir.
Much, and I think you have you've more or less dealt with it. Let me ask this question, and I'm asking both of you this question, and I'll start with Pastor Samuel. What is more important to you, sir? Or which one should the president take more offense from? Being restricted on Twitter, or the children that were being adopted, because it looks as if the restriction on Twitter got a good Twitter got a good slap for it. Very quick, no slowing down. And even if it wasn't the president, it was the people around the president that did that, because the president did not write the tweets. We know that it was the president that wrote the tweet. It's the people around him, and the people around him that felt their ego were being matched on. Of course, if we want to talk about Twitter, we have that's another discussion for another day, because all these social media platforms, there are times when there are ways in which you can deal with issues, and if somebody has said something that you don't like, you can put it down, just like you removed it, you can remove it. But you don't need to remove and then suspend at the same time, because that's a bit too harsh. Pump. Normally what they do is they remove. Because when Trump was doing what he was doing, they were blocking his tweets. They said they blocked him, but they didn't automatically remove him as the most powerful man in the world. So why should you do it to Nigerian president? Because whether you like it or not, it represents my country. It represents Nigeria. And when you slap my president, you slap me. Let me be tribal on that level. So please forgive me, Twitter people, and my British people too. But the truth must be said. But that aside, so for those that said I'm not pro Buhari, I just offended Buhari on that bit. Now let's go back. Which one is more important? Blocking Twitter or going after the people that kidnap children that doesn't even know the difference between daddy and mommy yet, 2-year-old? Which one is more important? Which one will you have expected? Because if you ask me now, the same heat and the same way it is, there's a word in Yoruba, they say talara, the same way it is eating their body, the same way the president should have got on his plane and fly to Niger and take over Niger State and say, you know what, your governor has traveled, Abi, I take over this state. I declare a state of emergency over this state, and I will go after this bandit, so that they will see that general that people voted for in 2015. What is your view on that, sir?
Right. This will not be the first time that the government will be acting quite very fast on issues like the Twitter, or a statement that is made by maybe UK or US, and the government will just go on straight like that to quickly attack them. But like you said, the one that should actually matter to us, and that should matter to the president, should be those kids. But that's not the first time. Remember that when the other set of people were kidnapped, it was actually at home. It went to Daura that time, and some kids were kidnapped even there. And in fact, the presidency didn't make statements in time. And people have to start talking now that what exactly is happening in this country. If kidnapping happened in the president's states, when he's even there, and it's just like nobody is hearing anything. So I think the government has not been up to the game. The government has not been able to actually show leadership. Like you said, if we have a situation like this, 24 hours, there should be transmission of the area where they are taking and things and stuff like that. Like I'm saying, there's no way you pick over 200 children. Those people couldn't have put them inside a bag and just carry them and hide them under their clothes to take them away. That would be what has happened. Is a sort of an entourage where many of these terrorists came in, pack those kids, and then they lead them to wherever they took them to. So I think the one that should be most important for the president would have been to show that he really cared about Nigerian citizens, especially when we're talking about kids. And he also should think that if these are his own kids, is that the same way he's going to behave? We saw what happened when his son had a bike accident. So why can't we I mean, and I'm talking about the president, why can't he show the same concern, the same care, and of course, the same strong and decisive action to get those children out of the hands of the terrorists? Thank you.
Okay, barrister, please, so you have to forgive me because this is the work I do. Twitter is let people see my face because they'll be wondering maybe I'm hiding my face for a reason. Twitter is a federal government issue. The adoption of those children in Niger State is a state government issue, and their government has flown out. But we are all children of the book. God said, even if a young lion, even if a lion will even forget to suck to help his feeding baby, he said, I will not forget you. So the question now is, did the government, the president, did something happen? Has the president not been informed that children have been adopted in Niger State? That the federal government of Nigeria, the symbol of the Nigerian state, is more interested in dealing with Twitter than they are more interested in 100 plus children, which includes little children of 2 years old. I'm not talking of adults now that can feed for themselves. Little children that should still be sucking breast in some certain places. Which one is more important to you, sir, if you are the commander in chief? Twitter or the little children? So people are seeing my face now.
I think the answer to that is not far-fetched. Unfortunately, that's why yes, I'm still a strong supporter of this government. And sometimes I'm ashamed to admit that sometimes they tend to major on minors and minor on majors. What do I mean by that? Is that sometimes certain things that are meant to be at the top of the desk are the ones they put under, which is the main reason why I must admit we are where we are today. Twitter, as far as I'm concerned, is just one arm of the social media. We have so many other social media. So what if they ban you from there? Wow. How many loaf of bread does Twitter put on an average Nigerian table a day? I'm just trying to give paint how unimportant whether it's banned or not banned on Twitter is. But we're talking about children that have been abducted. Because for me, everybody knows that the primary duty of a government is the protection of life and property. It doesn't matter how many numbers of people have been adopted. I would have thought that you see, this is a case where even a reactive action would have sufficed, where reactive action was not in place. It has happened. Then there must be immediate action taken by the requisite agencies that's meant to go. You see, Pastors was saying something earlier on, which is the same question I have been asking every now and then. Some ragtag idiots who go by the name bandits. But by the way, I've always said it, I don't count them as bandits, I see them as terrorists.
Yeah.
Because calling them bandits is like calling an armed robber a thief. They are both thieves, but one is more deadly than the other. So there are no bandits as far as I'm concerned, they are terrorists. So how easy could it have been for now, these bandits we're talking about will not go in 5 or 10, they will go in about 20 or more people. They will gather about 200 students. And they will be going in convoy. And they will travel 50, 60 miles. And nobody would have been able to accost them. Something is not right there. We have to be very factual to ourselves. Something is not right there. And that is why I was talking earlier that even though I expect the government to be proactive all the time, but there are times when a reaction will suffice in a situation where maybe if they were caught unawares, then a prompt reaction would have at least stopped those bandits in their stride before they get into the bush. Are we saying nobody saw them when they were going with these people, and nobody was able to call the security agencies or what? It leaves a very bitter taste in my mouth, and sometimes I find it difficult to react to talk about it because it is just not on for me. Because I cannot imagine myself being in government. It's something like that will be happening, not once, not twice, not 3 times, and yet no heads is rolling. Because for me, somebody must answer. Because in every society there are chains of reaction, chains of commands. Somebody somewhere should have taken certain action at certain times, and if that did not happen, I want to know why. If I'm the head of if I'm the president, I want to know why. And for me, once is too many, especially when it involves lives of the people that I'm supposed to be protecting. I don't get it. I really don't. So it's a question that I'm happy a program like this is coming up. It's on air now, and I bet that I pray that the people in the government begins to sit up now, because it's no longer a joke. It is no longer a joke. What I'm saying now pains me, because one of the service chiefs is very close to me, very, very close to me, and I'm so mad that this is still happening in this day and age now. Come on. So now this is about maybe about the 10th time that is happening now. Are we now saying when the first, second, third happen, there's no contingency plans to secure our schools or to secure because we must know areas acceptable to all these things. All our security personnel must know areas that are susceptible to this kind of thing. So what are the contingency plans that have been made to make sure that, because come on. It beggars belief sometimes. Now, we are still experiencing this time. I can understand when it happens the first time or second time. But when it begins to become, it's becoming more or less like a daily or weekly occurrence, then there's no excuse for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for it.
It's funny. I was listening to one of the mothers. She's a mother of 5. All her 5 children were taken. 2 of the children were actually returned back because they were just too tender for the journey ahead. So the kidnappers returned them back. In Nigeria, they took them and then they had the gods to even come and return that, okay, these ones we are cherry picking. If there's a crime in the UK, I said there's an adoption. Do you honestly think that the adopters will come back to the same place and come and drop some and say, okay, just take these ones. We don't want to, take these ones. So they came to the woman, saw she saw them taking the children away. Now, the principal of the school and some leaders of the school have now started going from house to house to beg for money. They've raised 10 million naira, and the people are asking for 130,000. Now, so I just want to ask. They said the heart of men are wicked. Hi, very, 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 very wicked.
Desperately
are you telling
wicked.
me desperately wicked? Are you telling me that we have to wait in Nigeria until 1 or 2 of those very young children are killed before that money is made? When, as I'm speaking right now, some government officials, they are in parties where there are more than 20 million being spent, 30 million being spent. In fact, there is a Nigerian that can easily just call the TV station and say, you know what? Tell those family in Niger State, we will give you that 100 million in order to take care of those children. And then let Nigeria come back together and say, okay, all schools must have appropriate security measures in place, which is part of the things we're, of course, going to be talking about. But I want to ask one question. And Yorubas will say, Ekini Kebe, Ekeji Kebe, that means it happened first time, happened second time, third time, head must roll. It has happened 7 times. Nothing has happened. What do you have to say to that, Pastor?
Right. Just like I mentioned earlier, that I mean, with all the signs, all the indices we've seen, it shows clearly that governance is broken down. There's no government, if I can put it that way. And Barrister has also put that across, that because people don't face consequences for what they do, then everything will just keep going on like that. And I mean, even you have one of the people putting on comment that we place high expectation on our government, of which they have no capacity. I mean, it's shown clearly that the government has got no capacity. It happened the first time, like you said, the second time, the third time, and it's happening day in, day out. And the government is not, I mean, let's look at it that we've got our armed forces. Let's say they are overstretched, but there are other, we've got more than the military in Nigeria. We have almost about other 2 or 3 civil defense. We have almost about another 3 or 4 different agencies that will actually cover this. And then we know where these things are happening. We know the areas where they kept on kidnapping these children. Why is the government not pushing resources into those areas? And if those kids are there with the terrorists, and the government is not taking any action, in fact, if the government is not even empowering the people within that community, then there's basically no government. That's the way we should put it, that there is no sign of government. And it's quite very, very unfortunate that the most populous African nation is just in this terrible mess where things are not stopping. It's completely different if things are happening and we see the government taking action, and then we could have hope that maybe in another few months or so things will get better. But things are not being done at all, and it's extremely very, very unfortunate for things to have gotten to this stage, but also not just have gotten to this stage, is still continuing in this state. I think the government needs to do more. But then they've rightly asked the question: do we even consider the government to have the capacity? Because if they are not having people that are actually from the intelligent community working with the government, I mean, you don't have people that are actually their focus is on governance and not just what they can get in government, because there wouldn't be anyone that is a good father or a good mother that under your watch, and I'm not talking just only about the president now, the people who are also working with him, that they will kidnap children and then you carry your agbada, you are going to a party. I mean, it shows, like Barrister said, it shows they lack value for human life, and it's very unfortunate that we have to be where we are today in Nigeria.
Okay, let me ask Barrister. You're a legal person, and I know you are here to uphold the law as you sworn to. So, are you also going to join the government in ensuring that all the people in Niger State who are now raising 130 million naira, are they the ones that will be prosecuted based on the fact that the Senate, it shows that there seems to be nowhere where there is common sense in that country, with all due respect. Because even the Senate now has said, you know what? Anybody that give money to terrorists and to kidnappers should be prosecuted. So are we going to go from house to house and carry and do is it balance of probability or beyond reasonable doubt to prove that every one of them gave money towards that 130 million? And all of them, the whole city will be prosecuted. They will all have criminal record. What is your view on that, sir?
Well, to start with, I'm totally against paying terrorists money for one simple reason. For every penny you give these guys, yeah, that money is going into buying more arms to continue to terrorize the populace. That is a fact. However, I don't see any sense in any government wanting to criminalize anyone, because hey, if I'm a parent and somebody kidnap my child, that it's going to be hard for me not to explain my emotions. And if that emotions, ties through trying to get money to get them out alive, that is what any concerned parent will do. So it is in that guise that I think it is morally wrong for any government to want to criminalize anybody doing that. What they should have been doing is, one, to either ensure that that act does not repeat itself again. But once this one has happened, I would have expected the government to deploy every arsenal within their capacity to ensure that they locate. You see, I don't like talking about it because it makes my blood to boil. Because we live in a time of technology where even if someone is in a bunker, there are technological gadgets that can pinpoint where somebody is through just his body heat alone. So what are we talking about? These terrorists, they are not ghosts, they are human beings. And majority of them are not even educated to start with. So how can we sit back as civilized people and allow these ragamuffins to begin to run our country ragged? That is the bit I don't get. I really don't. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional about this issue now, because it just doing my head in every day to be seeing these things happening. And like you said, we are seemingly kind of defenseless as to how to. Because for me, the world has moved so fast that is why you see in certain countries when things like this happen, you don't even put soldiers put a foot on the ground to get them. You deploy technology. You, the presenter, you are a security expert, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about here. It doesn't within 24 hours you fish these bastards out. You know exactly where they are, surround them, and get all our children back. But then the children will be there for days, for weeks, and stuff like that. So the parents will have no other choice than, because the life of their people, of their children, are in danger. So obviously they have to find any means to get them out. So for me, I think it is wrong for any government to want to criminalize any parent, because it is the job of the government itself, in the first place, to safeguard these people. So if you have failed in safeguarding them, and some idiots came from the woods into the town, to abduct them, and all the parents can fall back on is now to do whatever they can to make sure that they get their children alive. I think it's morally wrong in whatever, even logically wrong, to criminalize them. That's my own take on it.
Thank you so much, sir. I think a lot of people have said practically what you said. I think you're more or less hitting it on the nail. The bottom line is that there is no way to be able to get these children out, especially children as little as 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, who are just going to learn Islam, a religion, freedom of religion. And here we are, bandits who, again, I must highlight, Sheikh Gumi met with and said that they should not worry, they should change their ways, and it was in that same state. So the question here now is, how do we move from where we are now to where we want to be? So I think it is high time to start looking at security within schools, and to ask ourselves, how do we improve security within school? For those people that are not aware, you can Google my name, Temitope Olodo, and just put school security. I actually written a book on school security, and I've talked about how to secure a school. It's right there. You can get it. You can get that book, because I asked some few questions. If you are a parent and you have children in schools in Nigeria, there are certain questions, 10 questions that you need to ask. If you ask those 10 questions and you cannot get a good response to those questions, withdraw your child from that school, because the bottom line is they do not have in place the right things. Let me mention 3 or 4 before I get my guests back. You must ask them, do they have an emergency response unit in place to deal with? Do they have a emergency response policy to say, if there is a kidnapping or if there is an emergency issue in our school, this is what we will do? So, for example, when those abductors came into the school to kidnap those children, what did the principal or the person in charge do? Did they call the police? Did they inform anybody within 3 hours? So within that 5 minutes of seeing that this is happening, did they inform anybody, or they just allowed them to go with the children, and then afterwards now tell them, they've come to adopt our children? What measures do they have in place? What security measures do they have in place within the school as what we call preventive and protective measures, to ensure that the school has, a protective measure, at least a form of defense, that by the time they are breaking down that defense, a kind of rapid response will have come. Of course, we need to talk about the Nigerian police ability to respond in time to this kind of issue. Then there are other issues, within the school that could have been put in place. We've not even heard whether the school has security guard. We've not heard whether they talk about whether they have a security officer in the school. We don't even know whether they discuss security, whether they've looked at the parameters of the school in terms of security measures. Nothing of those things have been done. So I would recommend that you get a copy of my book. It's called Nigeria Security School, and I'm going to actually put the link there. Buy a copy, send it to a family member that have a child in schools in Nigeria, and because that is very, very important. Now, let me go to Pastor and ask this question. If you have an opportunity of advising Nigerian government with regard to safety and security in school, what would be your advice to the Nigerian government?
Thank you very much. It's not really a one answer question. The very first thing about the insecurity is just to look at what is actually fostering insecurity in the country. So that would be the first thing, for them to assess what actually is fostering insecurity. That would be my own first advice for the government. They should go, and they've got the resources. So if they challenge it to it, find out why. Then secondly, you spoke about system. They have to set a system in place. If there's going to be a sort of a law that every school must provide this structure to have all the people, all school owners, because look at in the UK here, every school, they've got a plainclothes police officer. They also have a social worker that is attached to that school. So if anything happens, a police officer is there, and then you have a social worker. That's the representation of the government in that school. So apart from finding out the cause or causes of insecurity, which I believe that, yes, I think one of the viewers is putting it there, talking about high rate of unemployment and co. So let the government make that assessment. Then secondly, put structures in all the schools. When the schools are registering, part of what needs to be checked is whether they've put things in place to ensure that the school is secured. And of course, there is a structure to report any slightest incident. It might not be kidnapping. If anything happens in the school, there has to be a log. So, and putting all those in place, what is most important is also who is in charge. Because I think there is one of the areas where there are problems when we don't put the right people in the right position. I quickly make a reference to these because those are part of the things that have pissed me off in the past. There was a time when a team of DSS and some other sister security agencies, members of them, they went on an operation, and they were, I think, I don't know whether they were almost about 22 were killed during that operation. And the head of the DSS then on live TV, and this was recorded in the news as well, and he said, "I've forgiven the killers." And I was like, who gave you the right? If we put it, you are there as a public officer to uphold law and order. Now some criminals have killed your guys, and you are now saying that you've forgiven them. So I think, I know we are very religious in Nigeria and of course Africa generally, but I think we shouldn't be putting people who are irresponsibly religious, we shouldn't be putting them in public positions. We should be putting people, the right people, that we know will get the job done. So until the system we run in the country as well begins to actually engage the right people for the right job, then unfortunately we might continue to have this problem. So it's just on those three: identify what is or are fostering insecurity, especially where people are targeting schools. Then secondly, put a structure in place where every school has to adhere to a requirement to have that security structure in place. And of course, thirdly, they ensure that you get the right people or the right person for the job. That would be my advice to the government.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. What would be your view, sir? Barrister, is there one thing that you will mention? One of my brother here, Mr. Femi, TDS, said that some of those technologies are well known to the government. Government team go for summit to summit before COVID-19 pandemic. They are aware of technology that they can buy, and yet nothing seems to have moved at all. Mr. Jimmy said that we should not be addressing just the symptoms. We should look at issues of the population, wages of people, which is also right. What would be, if we need to resolve this issue, what would be your suggestion to government on resolving this issue?
Yeah, thank you very much, my presenter. I think Pastor has said a lot. And I don't want to begin to retreat the wheel again. I think one of the things that he said that resonated with me is the fact that we have too many square pegs in round hole in government. And it's always very visible that everywhere you turn to, you see square pegs. What do I mean by that? When you see it, I think we were talking about it last week here when we were talking about the issue of the ITP. When I said, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care where he comes from. All I just want to know is, has he got the capacity to do the job that he's required to do? If we begin to look at that as the first criteria for putting people into position of authority and begin to hammer on accountability, because the Yorubas will say, "Akuku do it, I'm trying to see if I can paraphrase that in English. That I would rather not assume a position of authority unless I'm sure I have the capability and the capacity to live up to my responsibility. I think I'm fine with that, haven't I? Now,
Yes.
if you go through all the schools in Nigeria now, you find that almost every school in Nigeria is exposed. Exposed in the sense that there's hardly any school that is really trained in Nigeria today, which, as far as I'm concerned, makes them an easy target for any marauder to just walk in and walk out at will. It's like you building a house without any fence around it, which means anybody can just wander into your property and do whatever they want.
Okay,
That, for me,
Barrister,
that would be the first.
hold your thoughts for a few minutes. I want
Okay.
to, because I know that our very good brother and friend in Abuja, NEPA, is really dealing with them and is live with us. So I want
All
to
right.
get his thoughts before NEPA takes light again, because that's just one of the many challenges that they're facing. Professor Ali Alao, I want to ask you, because I know you are the seat of power. How is Abuja right presently? Is everything okay in Abuja? Is everybody moving around in Abuja freely? Is everything okay in 30 seconds, sir? Because before I ask my question, because I know my other guests know why I'm asking this question, but I want to ask you: is everything normal in Abuja right now? Government officials doing their work? Everybody is safe. How is it going, sir?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Oludo, our chief moderator. Yes, I must say to you, from my face expression, you can tell Abuja is relatively calm. Everyone is going about their daily business. And again, it's weekend here. So I believe, yeah, people are going about their business. It's relatively calm. There's no issue of glitches in Abuja.
Thank you so much. Following up on my question, I've asked my two guests and they've given me their views. You've lived in Europe for many years, sir. Am I right to say that, sir?
Yes, indeed. Over 3 decades in the
Including
West,
in Germany. If
everywhere.
the premier of Germany and the
Mhm.
UK, if at this moment there is an adoption in Germany, 200 students were taken, including children, sir, including children of 2 year old. Do you think the German chancellor, do you think he will be going out normal on his normal business? Do you think the politicians in Germany, as we speak today, will be out there doing their normal, attending their parties, doing everything in Germany? Why is it that Nigeria is completely different when it comes to adoption? They seem to have a lesser fear approach. It's like those children do not mean anything. What's your view on that?
Basically, that's a fantastic question you just asked. As you said, if this happened in Germany or in France or in UK for that matter, what would have happened? It could have been a total lockdown.
Hmm.
Total lockdown, that's true. But again, here we have this very classic situation, a unique situation. In Africa today, we have become insensitive
Hmm.
because some good years back, they were having bring back our girls. With this pattern of occurrence, nearly every other week or a month now, it's like just waiting. Where is going to happen? Where's going to be next? It's now becoming a norm, which I believe we are at the crossroad. Again, I must say, when we say Nigeria, it's beyond the frontier of Nigeria. I would like to shift our attention to not just Nigeria, the whole West African Sahel are in what I would term as a coma. We're in coma when it comes to security. So this is not just peculiar to Nigeria. But as you said, let's focus on Nigeria. The issue today is so complex, I would say. Then people are shouting, people are hammering, it's about service chief, it's about they don't have the machineries, they were using wrong instrument to curb all this insecurity. But if we can just roll back some years before now, was it not the same set of people in the realm of affairs in terms of the security apparatus? Maybe politicians come and go, but it's the same very military and paramilitary personnel that are the realm of affairs. But it's not as bad as it is today. But having said this, though, there are some gains, but it hasn't been that very, it hasn't really trickled down. I can only say work in progress. Nigeria, West Africa, all the way to Sahel, we're at a crossroad because whatever happened in Nigeria, believe it or not, it has a ripple effect in the whole West Africa. I'm talking of Niger, Togo, Benin Republic, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, all the way to even Chad. So here we are saying it's not about Nigeria, it's about the whole West Africa and Sahel. We're in a very crossroads and something has to be done. And again, we're all the stakeholders. It's not about Mr. President. It's not about Mr. IG. It's not about new service chief. Again, as they do say back home in United Kingdom, neighborhood watch, meerkat. We have to be our neighbor's keeper. People have to build that good relationship with the law enforcement agent. Because when we say, oh, this is what we have at the moment, they might not be the best, but we need to make it work. Because I see no progress in chaos. And some people say, oh, let's start all over again. If Nigeria happened to disintegrate to completely insecurity, guess what? This will be knocking at the door of mainland Europe. So there's no two-way about it. Something needs to be done, and something needs to be done fast.
Thank you, sir.
So
you said something. You said we should be our brother's keeper. And as we speak right now, the people of Niger State are now their brother's keeper. They are now gathering money from house to house. They said they've managed to get 10 million naira out of the 130 million that the bandits are asking.
Excuse me. Please stop calling these people bandits. It's the same call them by their name. These are savage. They are supposed to be bombed to the stone age. They don't belong to any society. These are savage. Why coloring it? Why calling them bandits? By definition, these are not bandits. These are terrorists.
Okay. I totally agree with you because at the end of the day, I call them hybrid bandits, which is a fusion.
And the thing has become, sorry to cut you, these have become a lucrative business. Why gathering money for them?
What are we going to do
with fire?
What will happen to
here we are. Sorry, I would like to say this with no apology. With no apology. I'm not going to hold my tongue on this. They are come. If they have to act, if they need to take this fight to these very people, they will be having, Amnesty International of this world. Where is Amnesty in all this? Where are they when they are taking even the child I never even know is her own name? Yeah. Pregnant woman.
Yeah.
Where are the Amnesty? Who is speaking for these people? Why? I mean, why is it whenever something like this is happening, instead for them to allow for them to take the full right of law, some people will be clamoring, oh, they are human rights. Which human rights? If you deprive me of my own human right, why should I give you yours? Where? It's not done. I do tell people, it doesn't happen like that in the West. Excuse me. If you go with a toy gun, something even not a gun, if you post your hand like this and then down, it's what's going to happen to you? You'll be dead. Dead, dead, dead. The same thing in DC. So what are we talking about? What are we playing with? Human rights, Amnesty International. Where are they today? So they should negotiate with the bandits. Sorry, even myself, I need to swallow that bit. With the terrorists. Something has to be done, and something has to be done decisively.
Okay, and I know, because I know you are always on the move. So I need to bring in this question as quickly as possible. So I heard that the governor of Niger State is actually cooling off in our sunny weather here in the UK. As you could see from my behind, the weather is quite beautiful, and he's here enjoying himself in the UK, as I heard, while those 2-year-olds are in the bush, in the thick of the forest. What will be your advice to the governor of Niger State if you are to advise him secretly at this moment?
Nigeria is is a republic. That means every state has their autonomy. He is the commander-in-chief for his state. I mean, he should be leading from the front. we all keep saying, oh, why not a federal government? Then we don't need a state government then, if we have to be saying federal government. So I believe, as is the commander-in-chief of the state is supposed to be leading from the front. This is not the time to be gallivanting or whatever. It needs to be right there where it's needed. But I believe, I don't have the information, but based on what you said, if that's the case, I guess it's wrong. Again, I don't know the reality. Maybe it might be there for some other stuff. Maybe also as well the coming to UK to look for a way out of this security quagmire. They find themselves in that very state.
Okay.
So I would not. I would like
let me ask you a question, because since you know a little bit about the UK, when it's in the UK, it's very clear that governor or no governor, excellency or no excellency, he will have to stay put for 10 days. He can't get out. He have to quarantine for 10 days. If he comes out, the Metropolitan Police will be waiting to arrest him. He doesn't have immunity here. So that means it will be 10 days out of Nigeria before he can even. It has to be 10 days in this country before he can jet back. No special compensation for him. So he has 2 weeks to spend there while those children are out there in the cold, in the winter. What do you think?
Excuse me, please. That might be a unique case. You see, maybe due to what I would mitigating circumstance. Okay. This might not be the issue with someone like him.
Really? So you think they can release him to get on a British flight to return back to Nigeria?
No, it might not. As I say, under mitigating circumstance, this is a very unique case. It might have to. Let's take, for instance, all those airline personnel, like the air crew. Did they have to go through the quarantine? I doubt they don't have to. All those earth workers.
Because they do the rapid test on a daily basis.
Exactly. Maybe the same thing applied to Mr. Governor.
You think so?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
I'll have to believe you if you say so, because I know that Prince William did not get that prevention treatment. So
sir, you said Prince Williams. I'm talking of someone official. Under what, is he coming as a private citizen or an official assignment? If it's official assignment, I just give you a very good example now. Yeah. If I even have to be, if I have to be a pilot of a plane or all this private company, British Airways, Pan Am Air, or any of these airline, did I need to quarantine for any days? I doubt. I don't have to. They will have a waiver. So I believe maybe the same thing applies to Mr. Governor or any of these officials.
Okay, I have to believe you. Do you think anybody, any of those big people in Niger State, in Abuja, will be putting money down to ensure that these little children are returned back to their parents? Because they said there are 3-year-old among them. Do you think any of your good friends in Abuja will be donating money towards this 130 million, sir?
Well, under duress, we're all family men. We all have children. And again, out of desperation, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So, because every single day counts on that very parent.
Yeah.
I have empathy on them.
Yeah.
Nobody will wish this. It's not a joke. It's not a movie.
Yeah.
It's harsh reality of our time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they shouldn't be fueling that. They shouldn't be lubricating the machinery of these terrorists by giving them money. Right?
Yeah.
So, with all the capability, we have military capability we've got. They need to take fight to them, blown them to the stone age.
Okay. Let me ask you one question before you go.
Because I remember, excuse me, please, if I should make a reference, I guess about a decade ago, this was in Russia. I forgot the name of the province. Slivnia, I cannot pronounce the school. When the school was under the same terrorists, they went there, about 200 or plus children. What does those Russian commando did? They don't negotiate. They went there, although there are some casualties on both sides. But at least, in the end, I believe we never had anything like that since then again. there must be a deterrent,
Okay.
and a precise deterrent who truly in charge, who is truly commander in chief.
Okay.
You don't dangle carrot in front of this savage. No way.
Let me be like Abraham, who was negotiating on behalf of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he was saying, if there are 5 people, 10 people, will you God please overlook and not destroy God? So let me ask you a final question, because I'm saying final. If because this money is being taken to the forest, so these people have to come into town to come and deposit their money. Will you recommend that we give them this money since they're in the forest, and then we blow them afterwards, or should we just not negotiate with them at all, like the Kaduna governor was saying?
You know, as I know, as a security expert, there are so many ways you can track these people. They even know them according to the news, according to the intel we have. They are the people that roam around in the society. They know them. They know the kingpin.
Hmm.
They know that
And
they
then,
don't keep money at home. They even bank. They even have him for bring all cycle. Can they tag those? Can they bug those motorcycle?
yeah, they
Can
can.
they put something there and track them? They know
Yes.
them. They roam around so free. It's a lucrative business. So what are we talking about? So there are many ways they can be tracked. Not like I said, they don't know where they are. They live, they work, they use all these portable devices, mobile phones, radio, television. Even they even have an air condition to deprive some people. So what are we talking about? So in a nutshell, these are not the people you treat like a human being. You treat them like a beast. You won't be in answer in the mouth of a shark and be saying, oh, amnesty. Oh, the animal rights, the one that's about to swallow you or shred you into pieces, and you're saying human right. Which right? If you deprive me of my own, so I must just give you my wholesales. This is where we are getting it wrong. Also, as well, we need our stakeholders, the other stakeholders, I would say, vis-a-vis Amnesty International of this world, and they need to. This is a unique case. Nigeria is bleeding, and nobody needs to come to rescue. Nigeria issue need Nigerian solutions. Let's do it in our own way, as Mr. President says, the language they understand.
Okay, we should do it in a language you understand. Let me go to Barrister. Barrister, some people have said that, we've talked about dealing with this issue of this unemployed youth. We have so many of unemployed youth. It's just alarming. For those that are watching us right now, please like this page, share this page, tell your friends about it. I wrote about school security in 2014. You can check the Vanguard story, is there live. I put it on this page. You can actually read it. I talked about ways in which we can stop terrorism, and you can actually also buy the book on Amazon. I wrote a book which is there on Amazon on Nigerian school security. That was some years back, talking of more than 3-4 years ago, and yet what I wrote in that book is happening now. So you can actually get it right now as we speak. So, Barrister, some people have said that one of the solutions is for government to find a way to employ the unemployable, to create mass employment, and in fact introduce ID card like this NIN, and ensure that people are carrying ID card, we know who they are, where they work, and things like that. Do you believe that might be a solution to this problem, sir?
In a way, it's cool, but then don't let us run away with our don't let us run away from one salient fact, which is that our governments don't create jobs. What government does is to create an enabling environment, yeah, that will provide job opportunities for people. That is the job of the government. Because if government continues to provide jobs for people, it's just a matter of time before that government goes bankrupt. Again, we see what's going on in civil service now, because our civil service seems to be over bloated and they virtually don't do much. The majority of them just draw salaries and they do nothing. So I don't believe that it is the job of the government to create jobs, but it is the government. It is the job of the government to create an enabling environment to ensure that the economy thrives, so much so that that economy will be able to be opened up in such a way that it will give room for employment opportunities for especially our young ones. But the only way that with what is going on now, I think the insecurity in the country now, in my own reckoning, creates a window of opportunity for this government now to be able to get some able young Nigerians employed in the security services, because whether we like it or not, our military are overwhelmed with what's going on. So we need, and even before they were overwhelmed, when you look at the military and especially the police, the ratio of our police force to our population is below is below average. So that's a way that I think the government can create direct employment for some of our youths, because we have a lot of them who are restless, and that is why you see so many of the things that's going on in the country now. And I feel, like Professor said earlier on, we need to do something fast now to ensure that because what is brewing now scares me a lot, because the country is becoming unbecoming. That is, I'm just using that now for want of a better adjective to qualify what I have in mind to say. It's becoming unbecoming, and if something is not done fast now, it might snowball into something that will be unfathomable. So for me, that this area of insecurity in the country is another issue. For me, it's a way for the government to be able to create direct employment for our restive youths. They have a lot of energy to burn. Let them go and go to the military, get into the camps, and go through the training and everything. Perhaps maybe that will douse the restlessness within the country now, and perhaps maybe even help our police. Because for me, I think that there must be a policy in place now to begin to expand our police force and get them properly trained and properly equipped to be able to take over from the military and withdraw the military from the job they do at the moment now. Because for me, I can't see them being able to sustain it for in the long term. So, and if that is the case, then the question it then begs the question that what contingency plans do we have to make sure that we have a gradual withdrawal of our military from, because they are not meant to be keeping security in country. They are trained to keep security outside. Perhaps maybe that's one of the reasons why they've not been able to contain this Boko Haram menace, because the kind of Boko Haram menace that we got is a kind of what's it called? I'm looking for a word, asymmetrical kind of warfare that we're going through. So it's not your normal warfare, which our military are trained for. It is more or less the work of the police to be able to contain that. But perhaps maybe the reason why they've not been able to do that is because they are understaffed, undertrained, and grossly under-remunerated. These are some of the things that we really need to look at seriously now. Get more of our youth enlisted into the police force, give them proper training, give them proper equipment to be able to combat this, and make sure that every policeman in Nigeria knows that his life is worth something. Get them a fantastic insurance policy cover, and their spouses or their family, give them decent housing. Make sure that they live in the, because you see, I lived in Nigeria. When I was in Nigeria, I know what all the things I'm talking about. I know how those things work on an average man's psyche. When you know that the company you work for is looking after your welfare, We want to do everything for that company. Same goes for our policemen too. If they know that the government, has their back, they will go all out there, and do their work to the best of their ability. For me, that is what I think we should be thinking about now. And if you ask me, the time to do that is like yesterday.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Let me go to Pastor. Pastor, we've talked about ways in which we can, take care of schools. We've talked about how government can, reduce this ongoing kidnapping challenges. Now let's talk about safety for we in the diaspora. If you are going to advise anybody about going to Nigeria right now, what would be your advice to them, particularly about kidnapping? If there's one or two things you would say to them they should put in place to ensure they avoid being kidnapped, what would be your advice? Then I'll go to Professor Ali Alawo on that.
Okay. With the situation of things back home now, and some of the things we've had, I mean, it's in the news. Anybody going from Europe or other countries into Nigeria, they are obviously considered to be a big catch. So, because they believe somebody coming from abroad, definitely you have money. So, if people are going, this has been mentioned severally, even by security experts, that people should not be putting too much thing on in the public. When people are traveling, people talking about their location, that people should try as much as possible to keep that away. Well, obviously we have the social media, you have Facebook, you have Instagram and all that, that people should be careful in putting things right on there. That is number one. Secondly, when people are at home, they should also be careful with the way they spend money. We see in the past, we've seen people being traced from parties, maybe the way they spread money and go, and then they are followed from parties and then they are kidnapped. So that's the two. When people go home, they should go on low profile. And of course, thirdly, when people are home, unfortunately, we don't have a system in Nigeria now. I mean, some people might be arranging it privately, where when you get into the country, you get yourself registered with the appropriate security, the security body, for them to register yourself, so that if anything happens, they could quickly call them. Or if, for instance, people can't locate you or they can't get you, at least those security people will be able to use the technology that we have now to trace you. I don't know how. I mean, people have also spoken about the people we have in our security listing as well. But ordinarily, that's what I would say. Ensure that you don't put too much information on the public, especially on social media, talking about where you are at each particular time. Secondly, when you go home, go on low profile. The last thing you want is going home for holidays and getting into trouble. And of course, the third one is, if there are, I know there are some couple of private, maybe private security now in Nigeria, where you could actually leave some details in case anything happens. Those people will be able to pass your details to the main security for them to be able to track. Maybe it will be your phone number or something like that, or things they can use to track that person. So that would be my 3 P's or pieces.
Okay, excellent. Let me bring in Prof. Since he's in Nigeria right now, and I know he has been in Nigeria for a lot of time. I won't mention where he is actually, so that they're not gonna kidnapped by Prof. That money, that donation will not be local anymore. It will be international. It will be God forbid. Anyway, just a joke. So, Prof, if you are going to give advice to anybody about safety and security, what would be your advice, sir?
Thank you for this. I mean, pastors already answered, giving us some of the tips. Basically, one have to be a bit on a low key. Not like you outside, you started blowing grammar. You know, I just came from you. You know, you need to be on low key. You need to blend with the locals as much as possible. Don't be too flamboyant in a way. On a low key, the way you talk, the way you act. And again, when you're going on a public transport, make sure it's those registered taxis, be that of Uber. I'm not promoting any of them basically. The reason why, being due to technology, the license plate of the car coming to pick you is being captured, the time, from where, and again, this can be relayed. Also, as well, you share the ride. That means somebody part of the family or your minder should have information about your movement. That's very, very important. More so, again, not going out late and not going alone, always with the people, and not always give details of whereabout you are in terms of when you are in the public place. Even when you're on the phone, try to keep your voice down. There are some certain things you don't allow them to have an eavesdrop on your conversation, because you don't know who's next to you in the restaurant or in the beer parlor, in a public place. So one need to take all these measures in order not to, fall a victim of these savage so-called bandit terrorists.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me go to Barrister. If you are going to give advice to anybody that is going home, what will be your one or two advice to them about how to keep safe from being abducted?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think our Prof and Pastor have said a lot, but basically the first thing I would say to anyone, unless the trip is of utmost importance, I wouldn't advise you to go. Unless it is vitally important. Because sometimes people just travel home just to go and show off with our home. This is a clarion call to most of us in the diaspora now, that times we live in critical times now. This is not the time you go, because one thing I've discovered in my journey back home is, no matter how low key you try to be, there's a way they will source you out that you are not one of them. So, because we seem to stick out like a sore thumb back home. So if you now add that to your own braggadocio, like our people do when they go home, you know, speaking some kind of phonetical nonsense. Obviously, somebody somewhere will source you out and say, "Oh, okay, he's from there." Then you become a target. So awareness, as far as I'm concerned, is the key when you get home. That is, if the trip is important that you cannot shelve it, then you have to make sure that all your five senses are always working 24/7. Be aware of your environment, be aware of the people around you. If you see any funny moves or something, or just like I said, it was Pastor that said it, that wherever you are going, make sure somebody somewhere knows where you are going. The person you are going to meet, let them know you are on your way. Give them an approximate time that you hope to be there. And even sometimes when you're in a taxi, I would say call whoever you're meeting. I'm in a taxi, so taxi. Let the driver know that you are quoting his plate number to them. That those are kind of safety measures that I think we can take, because when say God forbid, if the driver is one of the syndicate and he knows that somebody has been given his plate number, then he knows that if anything happens to you, some people, the law enforcement people will come after him. So those are, as far as I'm concerned, those are some security measures that we can take. And if you're in Nigeria, your outing has to be, if you're going to Nigeria, it's absolutely necessary from here. When you're in Nigeria, you're going out from A to B, must be of absolute importance as well, or else there's no point. Because we live in perilous times in Nigeria now, that everybody has to be very, very careful, because people are not playing back home. A lot of guys, I think it was Bob Marley that sang that, a hungry man is an angry man.
Yes.
So a lot of people are hungry at home, and they are angry at the moment, especially with everything that's going on around them, and they want to vent their anger on anyone. And in the process of venting that anger, they want to make some serious cash out of you as well. So one has to be very careful and make sure, as they say back home, shine your eye very well when you are there. For me, I blend well, so you will never believe that I've ever been out of Nigeria when I start talking. Now, I'm going to talk like always an echo, so that they will know you are one of them too. That way they tend to be a bit wary of you. That that good or cool. So we need to, those kind of things has to be in place while you are there to make sure every minute, every second, you are always on your guard.
Okay. Let me give you one statement each. Let me start with Prof. Your final statement, then I'll go back to Barrister, then finally I'll go back to Pastor, and then everybody, please give me your closing statement, please. Prof, closing statement.
Thank you once again, moderator. My parting advice or the parting word to our viewers is that not just necessarily Nigeria, the whole West African Sahel is in a panic mode as we speak. We are at the crossroad. It has never gone this bad. It has never gone this bad. But my advice is let each and every one of us be our brother's keeper. This thing cannot only lie solely on the table or on the shoulder of the law enforcement agents. We need to make it work. And I pray to Almighty to help us out of this very phase where we enter.
Thank you so much. Let me go to Barrister. Your final statement, sir.
Yeah, in the same vein, I think to make Nigeria great. You see, an average Nigerian shouldn't be looking to government to make Nigeria great. It starts with me and you. This banditry, if we are all security conscious, it will be reduced, because if you are living in a vicinity and you see strange movements or strange faces just coming into town and they walking strangely, you have a moral duty, to let the necessary people to know. Now, I'm beginning to see some strange faces around my house. So I don't know what they are doing here for. You don't necessarily have to show your face to whoever it is you're reporting it to. But if we are all security conscious, I believe the banditry and all the other social vices that we're experiencing today, if not eliminated, but at least will be reduced to the barest minimum. We all have to put our hands on deck. We don't always have to say it is the government's job. Government cannot be everywhere all the time, but people will be everywhere all the time. So that is why people who are everywhere all the time must have their eyes, ears, everything open. Make sure you watch your environment. If you see any funny moves or somebody who suddenly came across, who came by some certain world that is unexplainable, somebody who's driving a truck, all of a sudden you started seeing him flashing money, some alarm bells will begin to ring in your head to say, how did he come about the money? Because, like I always said, these people are not ghosts. They live amongst people. So if you see certain things, just an upsurge in someone's wealth that is unexplainable, speak to someone. Like they say here in this country, see it, say it, sort it. So that's my own take on it.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me now go to to Pastor. Pastor, your final closing comments, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Now, there is no country in the whole world where security is run from the center, especially in a country where you have multi-ethnic communities. So apart from the advice that we could give the government or put more resources here or set up something here, we also need to know that there's a problem with the system that we're running in Nigeria. And that's the reason that the Yoruba Referendum Committee, I'm a member of that. and we are saying that people need to be recognized as a people. The Yoruba, the Hausas, the Gala and Co. Now, if that recognition is there, each of those which will go into a region, I know quite lots of our political players are talking about restructuring. We need to get to a point whereby a region is able to have its own security forces, and which are they have officers that are from that area because they know each other. If you have people within your area, I mean, in Scotland here, we have Stratford Police, which are actually based here in Scotland. They are completely different from the Metropolitan Police that you have in London. And of course, they are different from the ones that you have in Ireland. So that's what we're saying, that the country, I mean, you have a country with a population of about 200 million, and you are attempting to run the security from the center. So that's one of our major problems. And we think, we believe that if it's broken into a sort of a restructured into a sort of a region where you have the people of that region, because obviously in Nigeria we have ethnic communities. So those people will be, their own security will be in their hands, and they will also be able to set a government that that actually meets the needs of those people. So we believe that very much, that beyond what government can actually quickly put in as a short-term system to deal with the security issues or the challenges in Nigeria, ultimately the system has to be addressed in a way where the security of a particular people should be put in their own hands, and for them to deal with it according to the needs of those people. And that would be my final word.
So much. Thank you so much. I really want to appreciate each and everyone that have joined us. But I want to use this opportunity also to highlight one or two issues before we close. There are 7 ways you can more or less protect schools from being kidnap incidents. My speakers have spoke about it. We talk about the protective measures, which are ensuring that the parameters are put in place, ensuring that the people in charge of the kids understand safety and security issues, that security officers are there to and are trained, and that there is a link with the police so that they can have rapid response, that they know what to do, they know the kids have been taught what to do in the kidnapping situation, that places are littered properly, that the discussions are had with parents about kidnapping issues or security issues in the school, and that they are kept well informed. And when an incident happens, they record as much as they could. Just like Pastor mentioned, you know who is in the school. You need to know the numbers of your children, know where they are. It's very, very important. So we also mentioned that there are 7 ways to protect your own staff from being kidnapped, because there are people here that have workshops, that have organization, people listening to me. Ensure that your staff are taught about safety and security, that they are taught about when to talk about work situations, that the kind of information that they have in their positions, you need to know. They need to be trained. So you need to get a trainer in. We are open to train you. Our information are there. You can see our information, going through the system. Send us emails if you want us to train your staff. We can train your staff for you. Tell them about what to do in the situation of kidnapping, how to keep their family safe. I wrote a book called a Nigerian Family Emergency Plan. You can get a copy of it from Amazon. It talks about how to keep your family safe from riot, from kidnapping, and from all kind of things. I also mentioned the fact that what could government do, and a lot of our viewers have also mentioned what they think government could do to ensure that there's safety and security and kidnapping is reduced. One of the ways is that they can register everyone above the age of 18. Everyone above the age of 18 that is not in formal education or not working. They can register them, ensure that they are giving some kind of training that can help them to become self-employed and self-reliant on themselves, and they will know who they are. Because at the moment we don't know who these people are. So if you register people, every Nigerian, local government, street by street, and you have their fingerprint, then that means that when they collect money and they spend it, we can be able to trace their fingerprint. I don't think they even do fingerprinting trace. Let's not even open that chapter in Nigeria. It's a serious issue. I also highlighted the fact that one of the things that we could do is that government can ensure that the NIN that they are doing and the telephone information, that they get those information, just like Professor mentioned about technology. The use of technology is very, very important. We need to do that. That is critical. One of our viewers says that we need to have infrastructures in place. Information is for immediate response. That is quite important. So let me use this opportunity. Thank you, Pastor, for giving us your time. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Professor Ali Alao, for giving us your time. Thank you, Barrister, for giving us your time. For our viewers, thank you so much. You can get more information about what we do. You can go to our website, www.trans.org, or you can go to our email, send us an email. Our email is there. I don't want to call it out in case there are hackers there that will, start sending us information we don't want them to send us. People telling us that their grandmother have billions somewhere. We are not interested. So until we meet again, my name is Temitope Olodo. Thank you so much for giving us this time to listening to us. We are back again 5 p.m. on Saturday. Next week, we're going to have a great time and we're going to give you the topic. But before we go, let us play that beautiful video, which is a counter narrative from the military telling us their position, with regard to Boko Haram. Boko Haram is gone anyway. Shikawa is dead. So it is ISWAP that we're dealing with now. So dance to the music. Enjoy it. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Though they use Allah, want to buy the key people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep saying. Boko Haram, them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep saying. Though they use Allah, want to buy the key people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep saying. Boko Haram, them, they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh, they keep saying. Salam alaikum, alaikum assalami. Salam alaikum, say na base na we want. But no be Muslim, is not a Christian. And we there for Bible, make we kill ourselves. Salam alaikum, alaikum assalami. Salam alaikum, say na base na we want. But no be Christian, is not a Muslim. And we there for Quran, make we bomb ourselves. They come from Shad, they want on with terrorists. Come from Niger, they want on with terrorists. Every day by day, them are bombing our schools, killing our youth. Say we know they happy. So they use Allah, what to buy the key people. Allah is crazy, oh they keep saying. Boko Haram, them they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh they keep saying. Oh they use Allah, what to buy the key people. Allah is crazy, oh they keep saying. Boko Haram, them they keep people. Allah is crazy, oh they keep saying.